Hello and welcome to Boomer 11 podcast. And today we're going to be talking about the Boomer 11 Classico, as we called it yesterday. RCB versus KKR, or rather KKR, because they were playing at their homes. And as you can see, I did say yesterday, one of them is going to be happier and the other is going to be a little upset. And the happier of the two is Sandipani. So, Sandipani, I'll get right away to you. What are your reactions? That was just an all over comprehensive victory, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was classic KKR. It was a proper classic KKR versus RCB game where KKR came into bat, had a collapse in the power play as predicted, then went on to stabilize, lost a cluster of wickets in the middle overs. Russell coming in and getting out for a golden duck was probably the only surprise in this game for a classical KKR game to happen. But other than that, I think Shardul Thakur pretty much did what we expected Russell to do and played that mammoth 68 of 29. That was, I think, the second highest score by a number 7 player in the IPL history. So that goes on to say that was a remarkable innings, especially the way he took on the spinners and the pacers alike. I mean,
Hmm.
and I feel the RCB were a bit casual with that mid-off fielder being up on more occasions than not. So they
Yeah.
just had to clear mid-off. So some very questionable tactics from RCB. Nonetheless, they went on to post that mammoth total, and then once the spinners are on song at Eden Gardens, KKR spinners, the mystery spin duo. Add to that the young-looking Piyush Chawla. Suyash Sharma. I will not take credit from
Yeah.
him. Picking up 3 wickets, 4 wickets for Varun Chakravarti, 2 wickets for Narayan. As simple as that. It was classical KKR win.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. You have to really say that it was a very classical KKR win, as Sandipani called it, because the spinner, I mean, the batters came in, they did the job, and then the lower order rather did the job, as we are pretty much used to in the past few years, and then the KKR spinners just shut the shop, and there was no way out. Even as an, I mean, from the RCB perspective, right? How do you look at the pitch? Do you feel that the move to bat first was a little, I mean, rather chase the target was not a great one? Maybe you reckon they expected a little bit of Dew to come in the second innings? What do you reckon the reason was to
I
bat
think
first?
Dew did come in, Jaren. I think Dew did come in initially as well. I thought once the game started, the Dew was always present over there. But and of course, especially it's a new season, new start. You want to ball first on that track. I don't really question that decision. Now, when you have someone like KKR on the mat, what 89 for five, got 2 wickets and 2 balls. From there, maybe letting go of the game, that was a turning point in today's game. Now, if you look at that, if you look at Faf Duplessis as well, what he told after the game, it
Yeah.
just looked like Shardul Thakur's that partnership was so much of something which they did not expect coming. They thought they had KKR on the mat and letting go, being complacent over there. I thought giving Akashdeep that extra bit of over was not needed at that stage, right? Because Karan Sharma was bowling well. Karan Sharma just picked up a couple of wickets there. And also maybe you could have brought in Harshal Patel a little bit more earlier because Harshal Patel, when he came to ball, he was bowling really good. And holding him back towards the lateral end when Shardul Thakur was already set, then it was just damage control. And those were some of the questionable decisions. And Sandeepan was right in pointing it out that mid-off fielder, I really don't understand why. We're trying to ball full on the wicket, trying to keep the mid-off fielder up. That was something which you don't do, especially in Eden Gardens, because Eden Gardens shorter boundaries are straight. And if you actually can clear it, it's very easy to clear it as well. And if you know Shardul Thakur's range, he's a good
Yeah.
player who plays on the wing. He can clear his leg and actually hit from mid off to long on, mid on as well. So that's where I think Asif a little bit questionable over there, I personally think.
Yeah, I totally agree. He plays very much, and that V is also very narrow, right? It's not like he can play a very good square of the wicket on the offside. He does struggle a little bit, so he likes to play the straight V. And RCB just ended up balling right in the wheelhouse of Shardul Thakur and the way that they went ahead. But let's start with the first innings, right? I mean, those are obviously the most important things. Right away at the top, Sandipani, Ramanullah Gurbaz, we know this guy has talent. But today he played an innings which was of maturity. The wickets falling around him. Mandeep Singh, Venkatesh Iyer, very quickly, two beauties by David Willey. But right after that, Nitish Rana also getting out very quickly. And then to build a partnership with with Rinku Singh, and even before Rinku Singh, the only reason why KKR kept going was because of the likes of Ramanullah Gurbaz, wasn't it? think I've lost Sandipani, or am I the one? Okay, yeah. Sandipani, you're on mute. I'm not able to hear you. No, we can't hear you still. Abel, I'll get to you
Yeah,
till when Sandipani fixes his issues.
right.
As we
I'm
look
also
at
seeing some
the
issue. I don't know what it is. I think my voice also, my camera is gone. I don't know what's the issue. I'll just fix it up. Yeah, go ahead. Meanwhile,
Yeah, I mean, while we just look at the contributions right there, right from the KKR players, Abel, if you look at
yeah,
the graph that we have prepared for when it comes to the contribution, when it comes to the runs and the strike rate, Ramanula Gurpas is a player who loves aggressive cricket, and today for some reason, I mean not for some reason, but a very mature innings from him because he held his own in that top order when everything was falling apart around him.
yeah. I mean, I thought that was a very decent innings because that's what he had to do at that stage. You don't
Yeah,
expect someone like a Rahmanullah Gurbaz to play that kind of innings, right? Because what he comes with
absolutely.
is that reputation of going hell for leather from ball one, and he's doing that. He's done that brilliantly for Afghanistan, whatever opportunities he's got as well. But today you saw a different kind from him, and that is in one way a positive sign for KK because you can use him in that mold and at the same time, I thought he was also unable to find his timing throughout the innings. I do not know what's the reason behind it, but it could also be because of the pitch. We did speak about the pitch, how the pitch was slightly on the slower side where the ball was taking around quite a bit. So that could be one of the reasons as well. But having said that, I thought that innings from Rahmanullah Gurbaz, really helped them to build on. At no point did you ever feel, even though they lost 3 wickets, you just felt like one good innings can take the game away, and that's what you felt, and that's primarily because of Ramullah Gurbaz's good base which he had put. He saw so many wickets being fallen like while he was batting. So I personally think this is going to give KK a lot of confidence, especially now if they're going to go into the next end. Right now, this game is an important one for them to build on. You spoke about the first game as well. They did show signs, especially Ramullah Gurbaz, but he just couldn't get going. But there still are a lot of issues, especially when you talk about Mandeep Singh's position in the team. When you talk about Venkatesh Iyer, the struggles with short pitch bowling. Nitish Rana did a decent job as a captain today, but especially the way in which he should be taking responsibility with the bat. That is something which you want to see from Nitish Rana more often than not as well. I think now as KKR will go further deep into the tournament, I think you will get to see more of those.
Yeah, absolutely. Sandipani, coming to you now, let's talk about the likes of the coach, right? Chandrakant Pandit, he is someone who's been picked up right from the domestic circuit. And he's done an excellent job in domestic circuit. We covered this before as well, where he's done a great job at Vidarbha and Madhya Pradesh, two teams which have really not had a history in domestic cricket to do well. He's won titles with both. Now you really think this KKR team? We spoke about how KKR team is an underdog this year around, but he's really made it his own. Today, some of the calls he took, including bringing in the likes of Suyash Sharma, the leggy with mystery. I mean, I have to ask you this: how is it that KKR scouting system is able to find so many mystery spinners? I think that itself has become a mystery now. I think every mystery spinner that's played in IPL who's been successful has come from KKR.
Yeah, exactly. I think, as I said, I mean, Suyash Sharma, I won't consider him a mystery spinner. He is more of a leggy, and but he has that wrong one, which will be very interesting to see how he sort of builds into it going forward in the tournament. Because Nitish Rana made it very clear in the press conference or the post-match presentation that they had always envisioned if Suyash Sharma in the team if they wanted to play in a pitch which was sort of dry and where they could use a third spinner. It was always going to be Suyash Sharma. Having said that, I did not understand why they had a Anukul Roy in the first game if you had this sort of a plan going forward. But I think it was more to have that as a batter. I think if today as well, if KKR would have lost another wicket at that point, I
Yeah,
think we would have had impact substitution in the first innings itself, and Anukul Roy would have made it to the playing 11 because he was padded up up till a certain point of time. You could
yeah,
see Anukul Roy being padded up. So another wicket at that point where Rinku Singh and Shardul Thakur played that blinder of partnership. I think you won't see this happening every time. So I agree with Abel that there are lots of loopholes, especially in that batting department, which they need to iron out. Eden Gardens, it is always going to be KKR's game to lose because they have these quality spinners. And obviously, you have a Shardul Thakur, Tim Saudi, Umesh Yadav, who understand, probably Umesh Yadav and Tim Saudi, they really understand the conditions of
Yeah.
Eden Gardens as well. So going forward, I think that will be a big plus for them. But I think that collapses that KKR are so familiar with, top order collapses where you have one wicket followed by 2-3 wickets in regular intervals. That is something KKR will have to look into, especially once again Mandeep Singh's role as a batter. I really thought that if Mandeep Singh is not opening for you, if you have a Venkatesh Iyer opening for you along with Rahmanullah Gurbaz, I don't see Mandeep Singh playing at number 3. So that is
Hmm.
where I think they can go ahead. I wouldn't mind even a Jagdishan in his place. I don't really know why Mandeep Singh is getting that rope ahead. Probably another call that Chandrakant Pandit is taking, and you have to, like, if you have 3 calls out of every 4 games that are going in his favor, you will have to take that fourth one in the strides as well. So
Yeah.
I don't know how long they are going to carry ahead with Mandeep Singh, especially with the way that he got out in the 2 games. First game playing that pull shot, it was a belter of a pitch. He needed to score. Chasing one in excess of something in excess of 190, you need to have a good start. So that was a disappointment, and today as well, he just could not understand. I mean, it was a ripper from David Willey. Once again, a pitch that was heavily suited for David Willey. So I think
Yeah.
RCB got it perfectly right today with getting in David Willey. It was a no-brainer, obviously, with Reece Topley not being there. But I think KKR really need to sort out their batting order. But we'll take it. I mean, KKR has always been unpredictable, and you have a batting lineup that goes really deep. But I will also say that this win was very lucky for them, because you won't have a Shardul Thakur coming in and scoring 68 on 10 of 14 days. So you have to get a replacement or a replacement in that top order, where you need to replace Mandeep Singh with a good batter.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We're just talking about the contributions as well, right? Shardul Thakur today contributed 33% of the runs, and just faced 24% of the deliveries. While on the other hand, Gurbaz again faced contributed 28%, and Rinku Singh contributed 23. That is close to 75 plus. That is 80% of the runs coming from these 3 batters. You don't see that most often than not, and that's where you. I think I'll agree with what Sandipani just said. And also, very importantly, if you think about it, KKR was given 23 runs as extras, and that's where I
Yeah.
really believe that RCB just lost it, because when RCB came out to bat, I really believe on if it was a 180, 170 target, I still believe that the likes of Virat Kohli and Faf du Plessis would not go for those expansive drives that they did to get out against the likes of Sunil Narayan and Varun Chakravarti. The only reason they had to do that was because they needed runs and they couldn't just play these 2 bowlers out. So that is the reason I feel those 23 runs are so important. But let's just move on to RCB's bowling. And
Yeah.
if you really look at their bowling, I think the one player that really would have, really would have disappointed the RCB fans was Mohammad Siraj. He's someone who looked really good in the last game. It almost felt like some that he's changed things around in the IPL. But again today, going at a run rate of 11 runs per over, he was not able to control the delivery at all, wasn't it able? Something that we're seeing with, I feel something that I'm seeing with Indian pacers nowadays or Asian pacers nowadays, because of that new ball is doing a lot more than it used to in Indian conditions now or subcontinent conditions.
I mean, 2 things to talk about it. Firstly, I thought Mohammad Siraj bowled pretty well throughout the innings. Uh, let's bar from the last over, which he went for like 12 runs, 15 runs, I think. But other than that, I thought he got off to a good start with RCB, especially in the first couple of overs. I know he went for a couple of boundaries as well, but he had a good base, right? Especially what you look in a fast bowler is whether is he looking in good rhythm and whether is he able to land the ball properly. These 2 things he was able to tick off. From the last game, yes, especially if you're bowling in Eden Gardens and if you have 2 set batters, you should be ready to go for runs as well. But one factor which I'd really like to add, or I would like to see Mohammad Siraj implement is a Yorker, which is proper. I know he's got a very good Yorker, but today with the dew, you saw that he was little skeptical in terms of going for the Yorker. One ball, he tried to go for the Yorker, and Rinku Singh hit him off. He tried to, I think he tried to go over the keeper as well by playing
Yeah.
that shot. So that's where he really went in the back foot. He thought, okay, if I'm going for the Yorker, if I miss my length, I'm going to go for a six. So one thing which I would really want to see Siraj implement going forward is maybe use that cross seam Yorkers more, especially when you're bowling in dewy conditions. To bowl a seam up Yorker is one of the toughest things to do because it's going to look like a bar of soap. And the way in which how you control a bar of soap is by getting the better grip of it. And the best way to do is by bowling that cross seam. You are talking. I think the one you spoke about was that wide which he gave by not having the control. Uh,
I mean,
that's the
first
first.
few overs, first over was a little, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
go ahead.
I thought that's something which you usually don't see from Mohammad Siraj, right? He's been there and thereabouts, and that's one thing I'd really want Mohammad Siraj to also improve, especially going ahead. Last match he was brilliant, and if you talk on Mohammad Siraj in the recent past, the best of Mohammad Siraj has been when he's been bowling with the new ball, and he's been able to have that
Yeah.
control completely in his favor as well. So maybe now going forward, one thing which I would also like to see along with Mohammad Siraj is to have that partnership in the death. If Mohammad Siraj is going to ball in the death, he should have one end also secured, because we've often seen when you have one baller to ball in the death, if other ballers leaking runs, that invariably affects you as well. So that one pressure pipe is where RCB should look to seal. Maybe going ahead. But other than that, I personally think that is where RCB's bowling is also going to be a concern, because Akash Deep is still a bit of concern for me. If you look at that stat once again, which I'll bring up, I think Akash Deep's that 2 overs, 15-30, even for 31, even for 15 runs per over. Um, and I think that was totally not needed, because uh, if RCB entrusts in Akash Deep, that 1 over was good enough, because today RCB used 7 bowling options, and out of the 7 bowling options, he was the worst, right? Though he bowled 2 overs, he only bowled 2 overs, but going for 30, that was a difference. The Akash Deep's second over was when Shardul Thakur got into the attack. That's what gave them the momentum, because especially in games where you're trying to tie up a team where they are in the balance, where they really feel like, okay, game could go in either way. That's where you really want someone like an Akashdeep or Akashdeep or the third ball or whoever RCB is trying to implement to really scruff of things and make sure they don't really leak runs. And today that particular over from Akashdeep really opened the floodgates for them. And then Michael Bracewell came and he had to face that as well. Not giving Karan Sharma the third over and not bowling on Harshal Patel is certainly questionable, because Karan Sharma has been your best bowler so far in the tournament. He picked up last match. I think
Yeah.
he picked up David, and who was the first guy he picked up? I don't remember. I think it was Surya Kumar Yadav. He picked up, no, not Surya Kumar Yadav. I don't remember who he picked up. It was Tim David, and this match he picked up Russell.
David and one more player. I think it was Suryakumar Yadav itself. No, Suryakumar Yadav was not picked up. Yeah. But yeah, go ahead.
Either
Go
way.
ahead.
Surya
So
Kumar
yeah,
Yadav, I think Bracewell picked up Surya Kumar Yadav in the
yeah.
last game.
Yeah, so either way, what I'm trying to say is, when you have a bowler who's bowling really well, if you would have picked up one more wicket, because Shardul Thakur has an issue with leg spinners. We've seen that over the years as well. So that is where Faf du Plessis slightly missed a trick, and you had to face the brunt of it.
Yeah, true. That's precisely the issue, right? That RCB did come. I mean, Fab du Plessis did come out and say that he did not get a lot of these tactics wrong. I mean, right, and that can happen to a captain, and that's great. I would say from his side to really go ahead and
Right.
accept that. But finally, just before we end covering this, you reckon now, able with the likes of Hasranga coming in, obviously things are going to improve a lot more, but is it going to be Karan Sharma who has to be left out? Because Shahbaz Ahmed stays in the team, he can still bat. Karan Sharma, unfortunately, will not feature at least in the Chinnaswamy game. So you reckon that's a little harsh on him? Or is there a better way to fit him in the system?
I mean, right now, I think what RCB should look at is get that extra bit of foreign bowler, because you need to have someone in there. David Willey is great, but that Josh Hazelwood's role, right? I think he's going to be back from 17th of
He is
April, is what
coming back.
Sanjay Bangar confirmed. So you
Yeah.
need a bowler there. I think RCB are looking at Wayne Parnell from the reports, what I'm getting, and RCB are looking at Rohan Kanumal as well. So these are two replacements RCB are looking to get in, and I'm pretty happy about Rohan Kanumal, because I've been watching him for 2 to 3 years. There's been a lot of hype in Kerala cricketing circles as well. See, that guy can
Yeah.
play, man. That guy is a fantastic player of spin, and you need someone like that. You need a player, a proper domestic player who can go after spin. Today, I was pretty surprised that they did not use Mahipal Lomro, who's a good player of spin as well. So today, one team was tactically very good, and RCB was tactically bad. So that was the difference of the game, right? It was two ends of the spectrum who did tactically better, and Sandeep will agree to me as well. Nitish Rana's captaincy was spot on in bringing in spinners today in the power play and having that long stretch of 6 over spell.
Yeah.
And I think it was not just Nitish Rana. I think it was more the team management rather than Nitish Rana, because after the when just before the last wicket fell, you could see when the camera panned to Nitish Rana, he was signaling towards the dressing room that he's going to go with either Shardul Thakur and pointing at the seamers probably, or deciding the order of the 19th and the 20th over. So I think there are certain instructions coming from the team management. KKR has always been very inventive on how they want to sort of imply what they want from what exactly they want from their captains and their teams. But yeah, credit should go where credit is due. I think Nitish Rana, brilliant captaincy. Some of the calls ultimately you have to take the calls on the field, no matter what you're listening to from your stats team or from your team management as well. But I think a lot of influence and credit should go to the team management, because
Yeah,
you won't see Nitish Rana bringing in a Suyash Sharma and continuing with him for 4 overs straight. But yeah, I mean, Narayan getting that 1 over was predicted. But Varun Chakravarti getting that 1 over in the power play, that was, I think, a master stroke
yeah,
Yeah.
from Chandrakant Pandit or Nitish Rana, whosoever. It was great. I mean, 9 wickets fell of spinners, three from Suyash Sharma, four from Varun Chakravarti, two from Sunil Narayan. I can't stop going about the spinners. I think Eden Gardens is going to be a great venue
it's going
for
to be very
KKR.
interesting to see what Eden Gardens is going to be for this season, because if KK really believes that spin is their strength, they want to go back to 2012 11, where they really made Eden Gardens a fortress by making rank turners. I think that's going to be a good idea, provided their batting supports. Because if if Kolkata really believes, or the KKR management believes, let's prepare rank turners, let's make this a fortress by unleashing our three spinners. It's a good ploy, provided you have good players to play spin. Nitish Rana
Yeah,
is
I
good.
think I
Rinku
think
Singh is
this
good.
as
But
this track slows down, I think it is only going to get difficult for the batters.
I mean,
Even
Akeka's
though they're a
best
small
chance is
ball.
also by making sure that this is a strong spinning track, because if it's a good fast ball in track, you can get in trouble because other pacers will come try to ball you out by balling the short stuff and
I'm just
ball
going to say
make
that. Yeah,
it sim as well.
absolutely.
Exactly.
So that's where I think, and if you look at like even if Shreyas Iyer does make it in the team, even like the likes of Shreyas Iyer or Nitish Rana, Andre Russell, they all like pitches where the ball doesn't go above their shoulder height, and this is
Yeah.
exactly where Eden Gardens is going towards, and that's the reason why
Yeah, but
you have to see that.
I think both Mohammad Siraj and Harshal Patel and I mean Akash Deep were aware of that. I don't know what they were trying. I know Abel covered the Pacers department that Siraj was like
Yeah.
a bit out of control with the ball over there. But Harshal Patel, I think Harshal Patel right now, not a death bowler. I think the way he has used that slower delivery more often than
I think
it's
Sanjay,
needed. I
I
think.
have an interesting theory to it. Harshal Patel, when the ball is dewy, and the Harshal Patel when the ball is dry. We're talking about Harshal Patel in 2021, Harshal Patel in 2022 to an extent as well, where conditions were not that dewy, especially on
Yeah,
drier
but
conditions, a
Abel, my
different ball.
point being, at 2021, in 2021, nobody expected a Harshal Patel to
Yeah,
come in
I
and
agree to
open up
that.
or
But
to.
then even if the conditions were home and away in 2021 or even 2022, I think Harshal Patel would not have got that success, because and also in 2021 you went to Dubai as well, where there was not a lot
Exactly.
of dew towards October, November. So Harshal Patel's major strength relies on their off cutters, and off cutters when the ball is dewy is the hardest thing to grip on. So I personally think that has been Harshal Patel's biggest weakness, especially in the home series in India as well. Whenever Harshal Patel has balled, it's been in dewy conditions where he's been taken apart by batters towards the latter end.
But
So
predictability as well, because I did not see any Yorker attempts. At least Siraj was trying and bowling those full tosses.
Yeah, I think I
Harshal
agree with
Patel, on
that
the
as
other
well.
hand,
Yeah. When you look at someone like Dwayne Bravo, the reason why he's been so successful is because you don't really know what is coming at you, right? Because the wide Yorker which he used to ball at around 130. Then there was a wide Yorker which used to dip on you. There was another Yorker,
yeah,
same way on the base of the stump he would do. He would also ball the bumper at you. He would have a slower ball bumper. He had a bag of tricks. But at this point in time,
yeah.
it just seems like Harshal Patel is coming running in fast and just balling off spin
I
or
mean,
and
he
leg
has
spin.
got the fast ball, but he has gone for runs whenever he's tried to ball the seam up ball as well. So that's why I think Arshal Patel should look to use a crease a lot better, especially in terms of the angles, which
Yeah.
which which I
Yeah.
think you need to practice a lot more. Because if you're balling in UE conditions, and Bravo is a prime example, because how he's been able to have so much of success, even though his primary armory ball was what is off cutter, right? And there were games where he had balled 21 off cutters out of the 24 balls he had to ball, and he still got that success. That's primarily because the off cutters as well. You can't ball all the off cutters in one particular area. You need to vary the length a little
True.
bit. You have to be a little bit full. You have to drag down the length a little bit and understand what really happens, because you need to have a good fast ball, which is with a good Yorker as well. Bravo had a phenomenal Yorker. If you don't have a good Yorker, and if you're only going to play with a slower ball, you'll be found out very fast. And Nathan Ellis as well. Why has he been able to have the success recent past? He's got a good fast ball which comes in. That's the reason he's been able to face a lot of He's been able to enjoy that success a lot more. But once you're found out, and if you do not have that Yorker, Sam Curran is another example. Sam Curran is a good off cutter, but he's a good Yorker as well.
Yeah, and you have to also see. I think also what really went ahead with Bravo is the fact that he had that he could ball slower deliveries on any length, right? I think with our Harshal Patel, he's got two lengths that he primarily balls with slower delivery on. One is a good back of the length, not even back of the good length, but rather good length. The in the slot position, where he tries to ball that
Yeah,
slower delivery, dips on the batter, and he gets out trying to hit the shot. And the other one is a little behind the good length delivery, where he tries to, I wouldn't say hurry the batter as much as really give him no pace to work with. And when that happens, that really works for you when you are when you're not expecting it to come at you like that. But the moment you believe that there's going to be a chance, where he is going to continuously ball that, as a batter, you can set yourself up, really wait, and really go ahead with that golf swing where you smash the ball. And that's what's happening to Harshal Patel at this point. And the players are really playing him like an off spinner or a leg spinner rather than a fast bowler. That's what happened to Mustafizur Rahman for a while in his career, right? Till he
yeah,
started bowling at off cutter, leg cutter a little faster. Then his finger injury
And
happened.
then
He
also I
started
think Mustafizur Rahman got back to bowling a lot fuller length deliveries. I mean, he was
yeah,
not into the shorter length anymore. If you see Mustafizur
yeah,
Rahman's length towards the earlier parts of his career, he used to bowl back of a good length deliveries more
yeah.
often than not in his first spell. But later in his career, now if you see a Mustafizur Rahman, he tries to be as full as possible and let the pitch do
Yeah,
the
and
talking.
also I'll add to that. I think in the recent past, I would really like to see the heat map of Harshal Patel, or the pitch map, where is he
Hmm.
been able to land those off cutters? Because in 2021 or 2022, I think his off cutters were a lot more fuller, especially to right-handers and also left-handers. I think he has dropped it slightly shorter. I think it's 1 feet or 2 feet shorter, and that's been not giving him that impact. And something which happened in Mustafizur as well. If you're not being if Where do you deceive that off cutter? Off cutter can be only deceived when you're trying to ball that full ball, and when the batter goes through with the shot and you miss time one, or you absolutely miss time, or you absolutely miss the ball. So that is one area I'd really like to see Harshal improve, and maybe bring that pitch map from the last 2 seasons as to what is he been doing right and what is he been doing wrong. I think over the last 6 to 7 months, since he's been playing for Team India as well, I think his off cut is a slightly shorter. I also think one of the reasons for that is the dew conditions, which I did also mention. I think it's a factor to be concerned with, because
And
when
talking
when
about the
there's
due
dew,
as well, I think even the KKR bowlers, especially Shreyas Sharma, was really struggling with controlling the ball. In the first
yeah,
over, if you could see that Bracewell missed a long off. First of all, he missed
yeah,
the long off, and then he took hold of the one and cleared the boundary. But the
yeah,
way he came
that's
back, I
where,
think that
Sandeep,
just
I
shows
think
character. Yeah.
RCB missed the trick. They shouldn't have gone after Varun and Narayan. I knew they sensed that opportunity to
Yeah.
put on Varun and Narayan, but especially when you're playing on a wicket like that, where both spinners can come to play even more potent than what they did in Mohali. And
And secondly, I think the batting
that's
order
the
did
reason.
not make any sense to me. You had a David
Yeah,
Willey, you had a Dinesh Karthik. You could have used a Shreyas Prabhudesai as an impact sub, but no, you
yeah,
went in with Anuj Rawat coming in at number
yeah. It did
8.
not make any
You had a
sense. It
Harshal
looked
Patel
like,
at number 5. Yeah,
yeah.
I think RCB was completely clueless and they just wanted to
Yeah,
get off
it
with
just
victory.
looked it just looked like a clueless or a headless chicken of RCB
Yeah.
today, especially after they started leaking runs. It just took them by surprise, because I also think that Shardul Thakur's knock, they did not really see that coming. Shardul Thakur was the
Correct.
last person they expected to play that knock. They got
I mean, you
Russell
should
Yeah.
have
because they were
expected it with the
totally
I
way
there.
he
believe
played the first delivery against Punjab Kings. I think after that,
I
you should
mean,
have
yes,
expected something
but
from Shardul Thakur.
let's talk about Shardul Thakur's reputation. You got
Yeah,
Russell, and they were
exactly.
on the mat. If you have asked any player or any person who were watching that game, you got Russell 89 for
No, no,
5.
I
You
think
are
I
the one on
totally
the
agree
top.
with you. Even Chandrakant Pandit had it ready. I mean, Anukul Roy was waiting padded to
Absolutely.
come in next.
So that's why RCB did not see that coming. RCB thought, okay, we are in the game now. Let's ball them out for 150. 150 is something which we'll look to do. But then that particular 4 overs, which followed after that, really put them in the back foot. You saw decisions did not come in Fab du Plessis as well. It's a normal thing in T20 cricket. That's where you really have to be proactive. The T20 cricket is
Also, Karan
one.
Sharma 3 overs in this pitch. Karan Sharma not completing his quota of 4 overs.
Yeah,
Shahbaz Ahmed not completing his quota of
completing
4 overs.
quarter
It's
four
a
overs.
crime.
Yes,
It's a crime,
exactly. Because
especially against two right-handers.
And
exactly,
also,
exactly.
Siraj completing his quota. I think that's also one thing that I think that's where you probably had to put Siraj a little back. I understand he's your death bowler, yes, but give him a little lesser overs because he was really traveling. Also, I feel the likes of, when it comes to the bowling, I think also the likes of who else was the one? I think Akash those 2 overs again, as you mentioned, was not required.
Yeah,
David Willey
and
though bowled really well. Yeah.
if
But
you look
let's
at
look
that
at
stat, I think personally for
right,
me,
right.
Siraj did go for runs. Even Akashdeep did go
If
for
you
runs,
look
but
at
that
that
the one
stat
over.
right there, if you look at the average run rate, right, that KKR had, that was 10.2. Look at the ballers who are above it. It's Harshal Patel, it's Akash Deep and Siraj. Bracewell, yes, but then Bracewell is
And
not
I
really
was also a
supposed
little
to be.
surprised why Shahbaz not get a second over, because Shahbaz, whenever he has ball, he's picked up wickets for you, and he's a
Yeah.
bowler in form, right? He's coming into this
And when a
tournament
bowler was
to
going
drop
in
loads
six
of
runs per
wickets.
over, I think that's where again that Rinku Singh being there is really the reason why Shabazz did not get a chance. Is the reason why
I mean,
Karan did
But
not get a
Rinku
chance.
Singh was struggling. I mean, Rinku Singh
Rinku
was
Singh was
really
struggling.
struggling
That was
out
the
there.
best time to
Yes.
ball to a left-hander as well. So that's why RCB were tactically very off. Something which
Yeah.
usually you don't
And
see
no, I
tactically
also
off.
saw a comment from Teju saying that Siraj is being told to bowl to the fielding setup and he's uncomfortable with it. But I'm not sure whether Siraj was bowling to a batsman with mid off he was bowling the correct lines or the correct lengths. I think he was
I think
completely
this,
out of the place as well.
yeah, I think we three have been
Yeah,
involving ourselves.
this is a very
We
interesting thing. I noticed that as well. And I think one of the commentator pointed that out as well during the insider thing. I think he'll get away with it, but that's been Narayan, right?
yeah.
He's still been able to be. And I saw one ball, he really
You
bent
do
his
it.
arm, and I
What
was
do you
like,
say? You say this in Hindi, right? I think when it comes to Narayana's action, it's always Narayana, Narayana.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
just how it
So
works.
yeah, I also saw that couple of instances, but
Yeah.
that's what it is. If at all he has crossed the line, he will be reprimanded tomorrow or
I
day after
think
tomorrow,
at this
whenever it is.
point in time, we need to look at some of the comments. A lot of people concerned for your mental health. There's Teju
Okay.
here. There's Priyanka. Oh no, it's not Priyanka.
Yeah.
It's
So
Pratiksha who says
AB
Abel don't
says,
cry.
"Oh yeah, I'm not crying. I'm cool. I'm cool." I mean,
But
RCB
Azul is
gives
not
you
going
these
to cry.
moments. See,
Azul says
RCB
Abel
every year
Pratiksha.
there's a game like this. I'll say from in 2021 it was against KKR as well, where you went out for 108. It was that day where RCB was the blue kit, and in 2022 it was against Sunrisers. There's every year a game like this where RCB is totally clueless, and that will come to haunt you towards the latter end when you need
I
net run
think
rate to really
this is where I
qualify the
love.
top two.
Yeah, I think Abel this is where I love this comment by Azul, right? He says Abel is someone who's I think is very unfazed with win or loss, and was on live when Argentina lost to Saudi, and then Argentina won the World Cup. So it's possible this is the year for
Yeah,
RCB. You never know.
I had a very
Azil,
similar reaction
we
when
were
Argentina
on the
lost
line
and when
even when
Argentina
India
won.
lost the ICC T20 World Cup as well. We were faced, but we have to do something as a professional. We have to come in. We
Yeah,
have to be a
so
little.
I think I did mention it yesterday before we end the live as well. I'm going to be very chill this season. It doesn't matter if RCB win or lose. 15 years
Oh,
you come to terms with how you need to deal with the team, right? At this
That's
point, I have zero
we
expectations,
are
and
Abel, a very chill
that's how I
player.
started to watch sports, and especially I think World Cup was a prime example. When Argentina lost the first match, I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna keep a lot of expectation. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't happen, it happened. See, during the match, my reaction will be totally different, but after the
oh
match, it's
yeah.
been the same.
I did tell you guys yesterday that we'll be coming to a live either with a Abel who's happy or pretending to be happy,
I'm
and we
sure
all know.
at least some sort of furniture was broken at Abel's place
No,
during the
I
game.
don't
No,
do
no,
that.
no.
I don't do that.
I can vouch to it. I live in the other room. Abel has kept all his furniture intact, or else he would have to face my wrath.
I'm not someone who watches sport like that.
Okay,
See,
okay.
that's one thing people have a lot of misconception about. Like, oh, I shout, I take wicket, I get super happy, I
Yeah,
remove
he
my shirt. I don't do
shouts,
that
but he
stuff.
doesn't take
So what I
furniture.
do is I'm pretty. There have been days where I keep. I think especially while watching football, I have kept quiet for the entire time. I think yesterday, I think Jaren was watching the match with me,
Yes,
Barcelona match
yesterday
as
I
well.
agree.
So
But
I
then I
have
think
kept
any
quiet.
Barca fan would be silent after what happened.
Yeah, I mean, it's been two shocking losses in 24 hours for me. So I've come in terms, right? Yesterday night's loss was even more hurtful because you were losing against your arch rivals and 4-0.
Yeah.
So it was a good preparation to this. So I knew something was off from last night, 12:30 itself. It was not a good day. I like to erase what is the day today? April 6th, April
I think
7th.
seventh,
Yeah,
seventh. No,
April
it's
7th.
actually
April 7th has
that
never been a
birthday.
good day in my life. I'm telling you, Jaren, I'll tell the story in the backstage once we're done with the live. April 7th has not been a good day in my life. I'll just like to erase this day as well.
I
Okay.
won't. I won't. Obviously, I won't. And I absolutely love to see Abel this way.
हाँ ठीक है bro ठीक है
Battered
ले
from
ले
the
ले ले
inside, but he's
ले
coming
ले ले
outside.
ले 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 जो भी है ले
As I
ले
told you guys yesterday, the fan banter section might not exist. We have just merged it together because this was the Boomer Classico, because otherwise
As
Sandeep
I
Hey,
will
had
be
जो भी है
said,
very.
KKR थोड़ी ना टाइटल जीतने वाला है, so my hair is
no, no.
intact.
Yeah, I mean, we might see at the end of the season, we might see a very chill Abel with purple hair. You never know.
That is not happening. I'm not sure if
But like,
this guy's gonna put the red hair
but
as
guys,
well. If it happens, I'll be glad, but
let's
definitely
move
not the
on to
purple hair.
the second half of Abel's nightmare. And I'll start with the comment where Kapil Verma says some teams have lapses in them, but RCB itself is a collapse.
I mean, I agree to him. I agree to him to an extent, right? Because there are days where
Whoa,
you, as an RCB fan, where you feel like, what on earth can you do? I mean, when players don't give it, I mean, you can't do anything as a fan. You just feel like,
absolutely.
my goodness, this team is an absolute roller coaster ride. But let me tell you one thing: if you're an RCB fan, you get to experience life more than anything else. There are 263s and there are
Yeah,
49s.
because
There are days
I
like
know.
this.
I'll totally agree with Abel on this, because I don't think any other team will give you this sort of emotional change in 3 days time. I mean, defeat the five-time IPL champions by 9 wickets with 3.4 overs to spare, get all out against a KKR who lost to Punjab Kings, who according to Abel was probably a below car, probably would be fighting for the bottom spots,
I mean,
and then they
Punjab
go on
Kings, I
to.
mean, we still are just 2 games into the tournament, most of the team. So it's still early on to say what it is. But I'll tell you
Honestly,
one
no,
thing:
but I'm talking
RCB
about a
gives you
roller
that
coaster of
right.
emotions
Yeah,
that
it
RCB
is
provides
crazy,
you with.
man. As an
Yeah,
RCB fan, it just makes you the best leveler. You can never be there and
It
say,
is.
"Oh, I'm RCB." We're absolutely bossing it. I think 2011 season, when I was not even actually really supporting RCB, that's where I really thought RCB was on top of their game. But after that, I don't know, man. RCB doesn't give you that those days. Either RCB will put you absolutely off when RCB is playing so well, and that is typical RCB. Life of an RCB fan. I like to make a vlog out of it.
It's tough. It's tough. I have to say that. I mean, but yeah, guys, you won't believe my brother's jumping around after Russell got out for duck after seeing this collapse. He's fuming and cursing RCB. Yeah, I think that's what Abel will be saying.
Uh,
Us.
See, I was personally ready for the post-match live when Russell got out. I was like, okay, yeah, आज जीतेंगे हम.
Oh,
This was me as well. This was me as
I
well.
genuinely
But
thought
then,
I genuinely thought today's the day that Sandipani's run of form comes to an end. But it didn't. It didn't because that's what RCB does. But let's talk about the second innings, right? This is where I think it's time. Let's just look at the runs throughout the stages, and that's where
yeah.
we really have to begin. Because till the sixth over, an RCB fan would have believed that they are in it. I know Faf did get dismissed. I know Kohli did get dismissed, but RCB did slightly better than what KKR did, and KKR did have a decent power play also.
Hmm.
And then on in the middle overs, that's what the spinners really choked. The likes of that's what the spinners really choked. The likes of RCB. Yeah, I think there is one that I sent after this. That's the one right in the
Okay,
end.
I'll just send this as well. Yeah, we'll just pull that up. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but if you look at right in the middle overs, right, you've lost half your side in the middle overs, and that's where you also feel that's what we spoke about right yesterday in the preview as well. That once RCB lose that top order, then middle order is sort of their underbelly, and that's what happened. Half the side for 5.78 runs per over, chasing 204. Never a good
Hmm.
start, isn't it? Never a good sign.
Yeah, something, man. You can take that.
yeah, I think so. Yeah, I would love to take that, but
Of
I
course.
still feel that. Yeah, I still feel that the approach, I like Abel mentioned, the approach was totally wrong, because you just had to. You knew that once the pitch was, because the pitch was slow in the first innings as well. You saw Karan Sharma pick up 2 wickets and Shahbaz Ahmed went at an economy of 6 because the pitch was a bit on the slower side. Rinku Singh at the halfway stage also admitted that the pitch was on the slower side. So probably 170, 180 would have been the par at this pitch, and they had a
Yeah.
good total on board. So what do you have to do on a slow pitch? Varun Chakravarti coming after a game where he had picked up 2 wickets, he looked in great form. Sunil Narayan always ever so dangerous in Eden Gardens. Just play out those 8 overs. They could have targeted the other 12 overs, especially because Tim Saudi, after bowling a beautiful first over, went for 23 runs in his second over, and Faf Duplessis
Correct.
was all over Tim Saudi in that fourth over. And at 42
Yeah.
for 0 at the end of 4 overs, uh, you expect them to play off Narayan and Varun Chakravarti. I understand, okay, last 2 overs of the power play, you want to utilize it or maximize it. But I think the way they went, they really went wrong with the fact that they tried to sort of change too many things. They could have gone it in a simpler manner. 3 down, bring in a Suyas Prabhudesai or a Dinesh Karthik. It is not the end of the world. You still
Yeah.
have
I
a
think
Shehbaz
I
Ahmed.
also thought,
You have a
I'll just
Harshit
add to
Patel.
that as
yeah,
well,
I have
because
this question
especially
as well. I think
Maxwell's role in this team is so much more prominent than people really realize. Because Maxwell himself need to understand the way in which the role he played in 2021, I think, was so much what he needs to be doing right now. Not a person who's just gonna go hell for leather from ball one. If Maxwell is at his best in IPL history when he takes that first 5 to 6 balls and then sets his eye in. Today,
And
what he tried
Maxwell
to
has
do was,
always struggled against mystery spinners. I mean, he has a terrible
yes,
record against
yes.
Narayan. He
But
has
I
a
think
terrible record against
I'll just talk about 2021 against KKR. It was in Chennai
yeah.
where Varun and Narayan was absolutely on top of the game. Maxwell came in and he took a little bit of time. I think he scored 70, 80 odd in that match alongside AB de Villiers. And I'm just talking from that perspective, right? Maxwell is a decent player to pick up. And also to add to that fact, I was just listening to Owen Morgan say and also AB de Villiers say as to how tough it is to pick up mystery spinners during day games and at night. And that's a lot of different. I think that was a very good insight, what I was able to get at least. AB de Villiers has played against these guys, and AB de Villiers told, and he also mentioned that Chennai innings. He told during the day games, it's so much more easier to pick up a Narayan and Varun Chakravarti because of the daylight, and also Owen Morgan also second to that. And in during night games, it's so hard because you lose the side of the ball, you lose the side of the grip.
correct.
That's where it is. That's where it makes a lot of difference. Today, you need
Also,
to understand. I think
I'll just
today
add
the
to
day
that,
where,
right?
yeah,
I'll just add to that. When AB de Villiers and Owen Morgan used to play, or at least AB when he played primarily his cricket, spinners used to ball from seam up, right? They used to make sure that the ball is whatever, regardless of the ball. But nowadays, if you really look at some of the spinners, they don't now they catch the ball cross seam, and that's something that's very new in cricket. Not a lot of people realize this is something that's come into play because people talk
yeah,
about cross seam deliveries, people talk about bobble bob. People are not talking about this anymore. That is the reason why Kuldeep has become so difficult to pick now because he's no more catching the ball from the seam up. He's balling cross
yeah,
seam. Now, just to give you guys an understanding, when the bowler balls a leg spin, he balls it like this. So the seam is facing this side, and that's how it works. And when the bowler balls a googly, it comes in a little bit more inwards, right? And that's the way some of the batters pick up the delivery. And it's easier when you can catch it in the arm, but otherwise, it's one way that people do. But nowadays, when you're bowling cross seam, the ball is just rotating cross seam. You can't really pick up the axis because the bowlers are not using the axis anymore. So that's become even more tougher to pick up mystery spinners now. But yeah, go ahead. Abe.
I mean, I was just talking about that. That is one factor to it. But at the same time, especially when you're a mystery spinner, what is your biggest strength? Where the ball turns, right? You do not
Yeah.
you keep the batsman second guessing as to where the ball is going to turn, where the ball is going to come in. And what I thought what RCB should have done better is to understand, watch a lot of videos on Varun Chakravarti. Varun Chakravarti's primary strength is his googly, the two-fingered ball which he turns, which is going to come inside. There is no way with two fingers you can turn the ball away. And that is one thing which RCB should have watched. Me or anybody who has watched Varun Chakravarti over a period of time will know the two-fingered ball. I think even Ajuna Mendes had that. Akila Dhananjaya had that ball as well. I think Sachitra Senanayak also had that ball for the longest period of time. The two-fingered ball, which used to come inside. Narayan do not have that ball, but Varun Chakravarti has got that ball. That is definitely going to come in. Today, if you look, two of your main batters or three of your batters got out to that particular ball, the two-fingered googly.
Mhm.
You need to understand. It's so easy to pick up the two-finger ball because you can understand it's a two-fingered ball. Varun does not have a leg spinner which turns. Varun has got a carom ball which turns, but Varun doesn't have a leg spinner which turns. So that is where once you see him rotate the wrist, you should be ready for the ball which is going to come in. And what does Varun other than that have? Varun has a quicker ball which is very straight with the seam up, and Varun has a carom ball. These are his strengths. Sunil Narayan on the other end, his slower ball is always going to come inside. His slower ball is never going to go away from the batter. And that is why Virat also struggled. And I think as a data analyst in this day and age, you should be able to tell the batters. I know it's very hard when you're in the middle of things, but these are the small things which I thought Punjab did very well in the last game. They picked him up by maybe, I think it's primarily data driven, because Punjab usually used to struggle against Sunil Narayan and even against Varun Chakravarti if you look in the last few seasons. In the last game, they decided to attack him just based on the pace of the ball. And also, I did mention day games, it's much easier to pick up
But
this.
I also feel that with Rajapaksha in the last game, he utilized the use of the feet against Sunil Narayan was
Yes,
spectacular. I
that's
mean,
one
he
factor
was
as
just
well.
getting to the line of the ball, and I
You
think
need to
both
you
the
need to use the feet
I don't
against
know
these
if that's
balls.
a very good tactic as well, right? I think the pitch was different. Everything. There were a lot of factors there because When
Yeah,
you
but
use
but
speed, you use that's
no matter
very
what the
difficult
pitch
to
was,
play.
both Glenn Maxwell and Faf du Plessis were not even on playing on the line of the ball. I mean, both of them had
Yeah, I
this
think,
much
but
gaps.
if you really
The
see,
feet went
right,
nowhere.
in the last few years, the reason why Sunil Narayan has become so ineffective, I won't call him ineffective. He's still very good in terms of modern day spin bowler. But when you look at his past and look at his present now, he's not taking as many wickets. And that's not because Sunil Narayan's become a worse off bowler. It's because batters have now started to play him from the crease rather than, step out at him. Virat Kohli
And
used to
also,
try
I
a
think
lot.
a
Rohit
lot of
Sharma tried it
batters
a lot.
don't take that risk against Sunil Narayan these days. I mean, they
Nowadays, yeah, you're
yeah.
right, you're right. So that's why I think that's why ballers have. See, for example, even Rashid Khan is being played in that fashion, right? Batters try and play from this crease now. They do try and lunge forward. That's how Dhoni plays, for instance. But it's not stepping out anymore. You don't step out. You don't see batters step out against what do you say, Rashid or Narayan, unless you're either you're Bhanuka Rajapaksa or you're Ambati Raidu. Those are the only two players I can really think of my mind who really still step out against spinners.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the only players who are stepping out against spinners are, I think Chehel gets stepped out against a lot. Ashwin gets stepped out against a
No,
lot. But that's
I also think
because
that's a
he can
very good
counter
ploy to
it.
step out against mystery spinners because their biggest strength is their length. If you let them control in that length, then they become even more dangerous. And what
But
did
I also
Rajapaksa
believe
do is
he
a
will.
clear classic example as to what you should
Yeah,
be
but
doing. Yeah, go ahead,
I
bro.
also believe it will. That's why Sunil Narayan and Rashid Khan both are very quicker through the air. Also, it's not very easy to step out against them, right? Rashid Khan has got that. The way he grips his leg spinner, it's not easy to step out against him. And Sunil Narayan, his action is like a fast bowler. It's not a spinner. A spinner cocks his arm and really. I mean, the way he comes in, he cocks his arm and he has to rotate, and that really takes up a lot of pace away. If you look at
Yeah.
Ashwin, for instance, or you look at Chahal, they're really throwing in their body, but Sunil Narayan comes in like a fast bowler, and he has that action like a fast bowler. It's not that easy to really step out against them. That's where you
Yeah.
really see batters have been successful. Bhanuka Rajapaksa was brave, and obviously the fortune favors the brave. But I don't think that's going to work out against Sunil Narayan every single time. I think
Yeah.
it's a mixture of both. You need to stay in the crease. You need to really not let him know when
I
you're
think I
coming
think
down.
what RCB should also be putting behind them is now you're not going to see a lot of mystery spinners. There are not a lot in the IPL. The two main are in one team. So what you had was the two on proper
Always.
song running after you. And talking about Suyesh, I thought if two or three batters were set today, Suyesh would have had a totally different day to what he had on the debut. Right? He could have gone for
No,
plenty of
but
runs.
but I absolutely loved
Yeah.
how he got Dinesh Karthik out. I mean, yeah, he was struggling with the control. He was lucky
Yeah.
because the required run rate was way in excess of 10.
Yeah. Yeah. So
But
that's what I'm trying to
having
say.
said that, after that delivery, after that half volley wide that he bowled to Dinesh Karthik, he flighted the delivery, went full outside the off stump,
Yeah.
invited Dinesh Karthik for the drive, and that caught the outside edge. So I
Yeah,
think it was
he
very
looks to
impressive
be a
bowling as
good
well.
one. He looks very raw. His head position is all over the place. That's one of the other things which we will point out. If we get a graphic of him, I'll just tell you his
Yeah.
head position all over the place as a bowler. So he'll definitely have to correct a few things. He looks very raw at this point, but I think
He's
he
not
can.
played.
Yeah,
He's not played representative cricket, right? If I'm not
he's
wrong,
not
something
playing
like that.
representative cricket. He's a very
Yeah.
unknown
So
commodity, very raw, straight into IPL.
he
What a
was
dream
picked
debut!
up
I mean,
right
this
from
child,
from the camp. That's what I've come to know.
I mean, yes, you're right in terms of that, but I also think this is also an opportunity for a lot of these youngsters to come in and experience it because this tactical
Absolutely.
sub thing, because of this tactical sub, a lot of these players are going to get a chance just to get a feel of it. Before you never used to see that because before there was a lot of
Correct.
stakes involved. Now you can see these small unknown commodities just being thrown out and to see. We have seen that previously, but now you'll see that more and more as well. I don't think Suyesh would have played if this was a normal 11 versus 11 game.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, he did not play technically if it was a normal 11. He came in as an impact sub, so you're right, spot on there. Let's talk about. I mean, let's talk about. We've spoken about the middle order and everything else. Let's talk about Anuj Rawat. I think that's perfectly what I was just exactly going to. Teju says Anuj Rawat. Abel, your favorite player. You love him
Yeah.
a lot. But I start with Sandipani though. Sadhimani, Anuj Rawat as an impact sub. At that point in time, you reckon someone like Manipal Romro should have been brought in?
No, I think it was just RCB at that point was just throwing in the towel.
Yeah,
Manipal Lomro should have brought in at number 5 instead of Harshal Patel. It was almost like a joke getting in Harshal Patel against two quality mystery spinners where you had a Maxwell, Virat Kohli, and Faf du Plessis
And
struggle.
Fab, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
you are bringing in a Harshal Patel to bat at number 5 when you have the likes of Dinesh Karthik, David Willey, Michael Bracewell was there at the other end as well. So you have all these players waiting in the camp. Shahbaz Ahmed, for whom it was the home ground. I mean, Shahbaz Ahmed and Akash Deep, they play uh, like Ranji Trophy for Bengal. So this was their home ground. So it was absolutely nonsensical with that impact sub still in place to
We
get in
have
a
to also
Harshal.
say
I
that
am just
Akash Deep was one of the better batsmen today.
I mean, things would have been completely different
Good
because
8%
if
of the grunts.
yeah, I mean, at least the intent. At least there was the intent. I did not
Yeah.
understand. Anuj Rawat is only good. I mean, I don't dislike Anuj Rawat. I think he's a very
Yeah.
stable batter, but this is not his format. And then he's a very good
Uh,
batter if you give him to bat in the opening stage
I don't
or
think
probably at
he's
number three.
that is anything is his format. I think what RCB is trying to do with Anuj Rawat is to
there we
build a
go.
cricketer,
Abel's triggered. Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
which I don't think is going to happen in IPL because it's in Delhi team he lost his place. I've been tracking Anuj Rawat for way too long now since he was playing for Rajasthan Royals as well because I was very keen. Right, this guy's video popped on my Instagram once, and I was like, okay, who's this guy all about? What is this guy all about? And also I think he was part of the under 19 India team in 2020, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, so he looked like a very solid player at that time. But then what really kind of threw me off was his kind of consistency in domestic cricket. Right, he he opened the batting for Delhi, and Delhi is a very weird team in domestic cricket because there's no stability for any player over there.
Yeah,
So
I
he
think in
opened the
Delhi,
batting there.
more
He
than
was set at
Punjab,
number 5. He was told to keep in Ranji Trophy, but one
yeah,
striking factor was he was struggling in all of these positions. There's no one position where he was like, oh wow, there's a talent. There's definitely something about him that these franchises have gone after him. There's something definitely about him. He went for 3.8 crores, right? If he has gone for 3.8 crores, it's not like RCB submitted that bid. There are other teams also who was part of that particular bidding war. Henceforth, he
correct.
went for 3.8 crores. So
Unless it
there's
was
something
Delhi
which is
Capitals.
I think it was Delhi Capitals because okay, it's local boy as well, and they really needed someone like Anuj Rawat for this season, especially. Uh, but yeah, talking about which, I think RCB should have gone for Srikar Bharat. They could have actually retained Srikar Bharat. There's a kind of season where you need a Srikar Bharat to come into action. I know he would not have
Correct.
got a lot of games, but he can play number 3. He can open the batting for you, and he won games for you, right? I remember that
So
game against Delhi Capitals where he hit
I think
one
Abel
off
would
the
have
last.
gotten a game. Now you want someone to replace Patidar. You aren't really able to find anyone in the squad. Your probably your second best option is Mahipal Lomror or Anuj Rawat.
I mean,
Srikar Bharat would have
absolutely.
been
I mean,
a
Mahipal
huge.
Lomror and Anuj Rawat are your best bets at this point of stage because they've had a good domestic season, right? And they can do a job with the ball and also with the bat, and they're the proper T20 cricketers. And today, I was very surprised that Mahipal did not get that nod. Either the coaches feel
Yeah,
that he's not batting well in the nets or something like that, which we do not know. I know Anuj had a decent game during the practice game. Maybe that is a big positive for him. But these are some things which RCB should consider. And I have another thing. If Maxwell is not gonna give you overs with the ball, and if he's gonna play these rash shots, I would have a Finn Allen come into my team any day of the day. He can come in and bat at
oh.
number 3 for me. So that's something
But
which I'll keep. I think
I think I have to talk about that Maxwell issue, right? I think when AB de Villiers was part of the squad, Maxwell's playing the role he's meant for. Maxwell has never, ever been a player who can rescue your team after they've been fallen 2 wickets down.
yeah, I agree. I
Never
agree.
been there. He's
I agree to that.
always. That's the reason why when AB de Villiers was in this team, he was able to be so effective because AB de Villiers took up the mantle of saving the team if he got out. Now he has to take up the mantle. And that's the reason why I feel this middle order is such an underbelly for RCB. The moment Virat and Faf
Yeah,
are
I mean,
dismissed,
last season also we had a
26
similar
overs,
issue, right? Rajat Patidar came after what,
yeah,
8 games, 7 games. So last
correct.
season also you had a very similar issue, but last season I felt DK stepped up a lot more, especially in some kind of the chases. Maxwell had a very decent season, I would say, on and off. See, what you need from Maxwell is to hit through the middle overs, get set and hit. 2021 was a different season. I mean, you didn't mention ABW's effect, but you saw Maxwell take a lot more time. And that's something which that's been Maxwell's biggest what do you say,
But I think
biggest
that's
nemesis as
that's
well.
the reason why
When
it
it
takes
doesn't
time, Abel.
take time, when he looks to go after the bowling from ball 1, it never
Yeah, I
works
mean,
out for Maxwell.
if you look at the Punjab Kings for when he was very successful at Punjab Kings, it was George Bailey, David Miller who sandwiched him, who did a very good job. Even when you were talking about RCB, the reason why it took time is because he believed runs will come from De Villiers' bat. But today, or even last year till the moment Rajat Patidar came, that's when you saw Maxwell be a different player. But now again this time around, when Rajat Patidar is not there, Maxwell is the one who's so I would really call him the leader of that middle order. He's again
Yeah.
struggling. You cannot put pressure on Maxwell. He's not that kind of a cricketer. I don't really think he's that kind of a person. He likes to go out
But
there and do his own thing.
talking from Maxwell's point of view, I really don't understand if you know that you can really get after the bowlers and you can score big if you take some time to get going. I don't understand why he just comes in and plays those rash shots, because
Yeah,
we
that's what
have
that's
seen
that's
Maxwell.
one thing. I think it's about time
But
RCB
that's who
communication.
he
Today,
is.
today I
Right?
still agreed to it because the situation was such, right? Because you had to keep a momentum going. So I don't mind that. Maybe come the next match, especially when you're batting first. If your team is a little bit of
Yeah,
a bother, you've lost two
I
to
think
three
that's
wickets.
also the kind of player Maxwell is. There's no use criticizing him. He is that kind of a player. He'll play that role. That's the reason why when he was brought by RCB, we all were happy because we felt he can do that role finally in this team. Because the
Yeah,
likes of
and he did
Virat,
it
the
as well.
likes of
He did it for last two seasons, and I think
yes.
it's too early to judge him this time around because there's been a couple of matches. He's been out of cricket for what 8 months.
But I think
I think we need
I
to.
believe Abel, you need a middle order bat who can give Maxwell the confidence to play as he wants to. Because the moment you put in
Not just a
pressure on
middle
him,
order bad. I think RCB really needs, if needed, I think RCB really needs a Anuj Rawat at number 3, just to play at a strike rate of 100, but
no, I don't think
play at an
Anuj
average of
Rawat is
30,
the
40.
option
I don't
because
think
Not
Anuj
Anuj
Rawat
Rawat.
is the answer for that.
Anuj Rawat
Maybe
again, I
if
feel.
RCB really interests on him, it's not bad. It's better than throwing him at number 8. You can throw him at number 3. It's a better
But
option.
again,
If you see
I think
Anuj
that's
Rawat
the
there.
issue with this is the issue I have with that guys. I think Anuj Rawat has also got that instinct to go after the bowling at the wrong possible time. Today also he felt the moment he came into bat today, what team required of him was to ensure that RCB did not get all out. What he did end up doing is throw his wicket away. That shot
I
right
think
there.
today he was sent just to hit that spinner off. And I think it's about time you identify what Anuj Rawat's role is. If it's to hit spin through the middle overs, I think he's a decent player of spin. I think he can do that job for RCB a
But
lot
I think
more.
Mahipal Lomrod is a better player of spin,
He's a
and
better
he's
player
a
of spin. So
left-hander as
I'd
well.
rather
So
have
I think he
Mahipal
was
Lumrod.
exactly. I would rather have Mahipal Lomrod come in and smash Suyash Sharma out of the bowling attack. I really did not understand their ploy at that. But I think RCB really needs a top order batter right now, because you can't always depend on Virat Kohli and Faf du Plessis to get the job done, because this is what I was fearing for RCB, that this will happen if you lose 2 early wickets, and they exactly played the same template of cricket. If you have all sort of all-rounders, batting all-rounders, not even batting all-rounders, all-rounders with not enough experience apart from
Yeah.
Maxwell. You have a Shahbaz Ahmed, you have a Michael Bracewell. They don't have enough experience, and also you can't really rely on a 38-year-old
I mean, that is
batter
also
to
one
finish the
factor
game
for
for you
that
all the time.
explosive team, right? On bad days, you need to accept things like this as well. Because if you want to play a certain template, then on bad days you need to be ready for these things. So I think if RCB has set a philosophy that if you want to play a certain brand of cricket, don't change from it. Something which Punjab did last season through the midway of the season. You will have bad days, but you should be ready to take the bad days. How did England become so successful, or any T20 team become
But
so
for
successful?
Punjab, I
You
think
need
they
to
did
be
not
ready for
have the
that.
players. I think
Well,
Punjab did
I'm
not
just
have the
talking about.
players to
I'm just
test out
talking
of the
about.
game.
Yeah, Punjab had the players, but Punjab really went away from the philosophy. Is what I felt. Even for West Indies of 2016, they knew on bad days they lose to Afghanistan, but they did. But at the same time, they did not change from the philosophy. So it's important to stick to a philosophy if you believe in it and just go with it. I mean, whatever results will come, you have 14 games, right? It's not the end of the world. So that's how RCB should look into this loss.
True. Let's talk about tomorrow's match then. We'll close the first round of Boomer Level
I'll just take
8
this
class.
question. I'll just take this
Yeah,
question.
I think we
I think
should.
it's Wayne Parnell from whatever
This
reports I'm
main
getting.
panel is
Or
what?
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
wait.
Wayne Parnell or Koitzer, Gerald Koitzer from JSK as well. So they're looking at all these, what SA20 players. I think that is a
Yeah,
new thing, right? SA20 has become the new feeder for
feeder
all these
league.
clubs.
Yeah.
So I think they're looking at Kyle. They're looking at Kyle Koitzer or Gerald Koitzer or Wayne Parnell. Wayne Parnell is the main player in that list because he can also bat very well. So he's a primary candidate, and he's a very good
Yeah.
bowler. He had a very good SA20.
Oh, CSK, what have you done? That's all I'm going to be saying. All
Sasada
I'm going
Mangal
to
is
be
pretty good though. It's pretty huge. No
all
fat
I'm going
shaming,
to
no
say,
fat shaming, huh? No fat shaming is pretty huge in terms of the
actually,
kind of
you know what? I
impressive
just realized
aura.
I should not be doing that joke. I am on YouTube. So no. But yeah, let's talk
It's
about
not a
tomorrow's
joke.
match.
He looks like a very big figure. I think any batter will get scared looking at him. I mean, look at that figure. He just runs in. He nicked off Virat Kohli in one of the matches in South Africa. I remember that.
You know what? I have to say one thing. After his performance in
But
SA20,
that
his
is
name
just
does
Virat
carry
Kohli,
a
right?
lot
He
of.
just gets out to new bowlers. It was a
Yeah,
But I
surprise that he
think
did not get out to Suyash
you
Sharma. I
have to
think
say
it could
one
have.
he
thing.
was out before that.
Yeah.
You have to say one thing though. After his SA20 performances, his name does carry a lot of weight. That's all I'm saying. For those who understand, understand. So let's just move on to tomorrow's match. It's going to be an interesting one because guess what? The boys from Lucknow are back back to play again, and it's going to be very interesting because they are playing at home. If I'm not wrong. Yeah, they're
They're
playing
playing
at
at
home,
home.
and it's against Sunrisers Hyderabad, who get to prove the world once again that they are not just a good team on paper, but they can do well in reality as well.
Yeah.
I'll start with you, Sandivani, because we've been bashing RCB for a lot of time, and Abel has been taking the brunt of it. So I'll give you a better task, something that Abel will not be that upset about. Sunrisers Hyderabad. You reckon now tomorrow they have a better chance of making a comeback because this is a pitch which, by the way, did create a lot of help for spinners. And tomorrow, and Hyderabad is probably the one team which does have Adil Rashid, but he is struggling, isn't it? So you reckon tomorrow LSG start as favorites, or am I completely off
Uh,
charts?
no, I think with how the two games have gone and how Mark Wood has really stepped up and picked up so many wickets in the first two games, I think LSG will start as favorites, especially also Ravi Bishnoi being there is the home ground will assist the spinners as well. But
Yeah.
having
Yeah,
said that, I think Sunrisers Hyderabad will be a different team than what we saw in Rajasthan against Rajasthan, because there was no Aiden Markram. They had a different captain. I think Bhuvneshwar Kumar was totally off as a captain with some of his bowling changes and a lot of tactics as well. So I'm hoping Aiden Markram will be a better captain, and I hope with Aiden Markram, Sunrisers Hyderabad will have a better chance at making at starting the score sheet for Hyderabad. And I also hope Mayank Agarwal gets a good run, because Mayank Agarwal has really struggled against quality spin. He had a very horrible record against uh, Chahal, against the likes of Chahal as well as Ashwin as well. So I
Yeah.
hope that he does not get succumbed to the pressure, and I am sure that if he carries on till the fourth or fifth over, I'm sure Ravi Bishnoi probably will get one over in the power play, might get one over in the power play as well. So also with Krishnappa Gautam being there, it is going to be interesting to see how Sunrisers Hyderabad go, and all eyes will also be on Harry Brooks after the amount with which he went and the amount of runs he scored in the first game.
Yeah.
It's
I,
high
I
time that the
also,
prices speak.
I'll just bring a picture up actually. Yeah, you can keep going. Meanwhile, I'll just bring that up because
Yeah, and
I
I
saw a
think
few changes in his technique since his stint with the
yeah.
baseball team, which is not a pleasant thing for me, who I watch cricket, because I'm someone who always believes that this baseball thing shouldn't be incorporated in cricket at least. Because what happens is, especially when you go for that particular technique, right? It really gives you that extra bit of back lift. Now I don't know how bad it's going to affect his test game. Maybe it might work in T20 for a small while, but in test game, I'm a little scared what might do to this guy.
Yeah, exactly. And also, I feel it is going to be Sunrisers Hyderabad's batsman against Lucknow Super Giants bowler. Even though Kyle Myers have put in a show for Lucknow Super Giants in the first two games, it is going to be interesting to see after Quinton de Kock is back, who is going
yeah,
to be replaced. I personally feel it is going to be Marcus Stoinis, because he's.
it should
I mean,
be. I
yeah,
believe there's
with the current form he is in, he's not really contributing to the team both with bat and ball, and I think his position with the bat, his role with the bat is still unclear, because you have a KL Rahul, you have a Myers, you have the likes of Nicholas Puran coming in and going after the bowling right from ball one, and you also had Krunal Pandya being promoted up the order at number 4, number 5 in the two games.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
two things I don't want to see. I don't want to see Marcus Stoinis instead of Quinton de Kock for sure. Quinton de Kock comes in, Marcus Stoinis goes out. Krunal Pandya, I mean, it's way past his prime. Every match I'll go on about it. Uh, get Krunal Pandya off
No,
from at
I,
least
I
from 4-5.
believe Kunal Pandya is a lot better when he's coming lower down the order. He's not a mid-order
Exactly,
anchor. That's
exactly.
just
Krunal
way
Pandya
too.
not before
Because
7.
I mean, a lot of people. I think a lot of people underestimate how difficult it is to bat in number 4 and number 5 in T20 cricket. It's easier, I would still say, to bat number 8, number 7 because
I
there's only one
I
path.
think Krunal Pandya is out of form at this point. I think he's a very good batter batting at 4, because it's the best way to utilize him in this team, because I don't see him have that extra bit of power game which can really help Lucknow, what's the best way to get Krunal Pandya? What's the best way to utilize him? Either to play him at number 4 or don't play him at all. So as anybody says, the latter option is something which they can consider if he's having a couple of bad games as well. Because at this point of stage, at least, I think Krishnappa Gautam is doing a better job than him. And if Krishnappa Gautam gets that extra bit of push ahead, you can still
Also,
go.
Christopher Gautam is a not bad shout
Yeah, so
because
I was talking
you
about Harry Brooks, right? So I'll just bring that technique up.
correct.
So you look at that back lift, right? It's a very much baseball kind of back lift. And I
Yeah,
saw
yeah.
him use that against Yuzvendra Chahal yesterday while facing, not yesterday, while he was playing against RR while facing spin as well. He got late on that ball because he was just a spinner, right? And especially when you're playing spinners, if you're going to use that technique, I think you're going to have a horror time. And his head is
Yeah.
all over. He looks like he's standing very upright for a baseball player, and that is
Yeah,
one
it
thing which
looks
I
like he's ready
feared.
for a. He does look like he's ready for a waist high full toss. You're right about that.
Yes, and cricket that doesn't happen. So for me,
Yeah.
his stint with the baseball team did not make any sense for me. He's been playing so well. Why do you want to tweak his power game? His power game has been excellent so far. And that is where his game against spin will come in the problem, because the game against spin is such an intricate technique. And if you're going to give that away to improve your power game against pace, then you're going to have a really tough time. And especially if you're going to play in conditions like Australia or wherever you're going to go, because the ball is going to come
Yeah.
onto the bat even more quicker.
Also, I believe if he wanted to do this, he want to incorporate this, he could have done it when he's facing pace. But I think everyone, even the ones who have high back lift, right? They always keep their bat grounded when they're playing spinners. Because that never works with spinners. I
Yeah,
understand your idea is to generate as much, as much pace as you want, but
yeah,
you don't really have something like spin bowling in baseball. Baseballers are
yeah,
never prepared to face spin bowling. They're
yeah.
always prepared to face yeah, they're always prepared to face
Hence,
expensive
it
pace.
explains his dismissal against Chahal last match. He was
Yeah.
struggling so bad, and I really hope that he really comes out of his own, and this IPL really makes
I
his
mean,
own
it's
as well.
not a bad technique to use, employ when, for example, if you
Yeah.
guys remember, Glenn Maxwell used to have this, right?
I,
When he
I'm
initially
really
played,
excited to see how he goes against Ravi Bishnoi tomorrow, because that's going to be the matchup. How he plays Ravi Bishnoi, and also for Glenn Phillips as well. How they play Ravi Bishnoi, and Mayank Agarwal,
you
I think
reckon
first time
Glenn
in his
But
should
career is going to
contain
play
him
against
more?
Ravi Bishnoi.
I
yeah,
think
I was
Mikey
just
Klassen might come into the team.
I think
Who
both
made big
both of
bucks
them
for
will
him.
not get a game because Aiden Markram, if he comes in, how do you fit in Aiden
Or Aiden
Markram, Harry
Aiden
Markram
Brooks?
Markram
comes
is your
back.
captain, so he
No,
Aiden
plays.
yeah,
Markram comes
yeah,
back.
exactly.
Correct.
I'm saying if Aiden Markram comes in, how do you place a
You
Glenn
don't play
Phillips
Fazlak
or a
Farooqi, I think. Fazlak Farooqui goes out of the team. Adil Rashid maintains his spot because it's in Lucknow. The
Hmm.
ball turns over there.
but have
So Adil
Karthik Tyagi
Rashid,
then? If
I have
you are
Karthik Tyagi.
getting
As simple
rid
as
of
that. Because
Fazal
you're
Farooqi,
using Karthik Tyagi like he's some. I don't. I heard a lot of bad things about Karthik Tyagi as well, guys. I don't want to speculate stuff. So there were reports as to his work ethics are pretty bad. So I don't know about. I don't know how far true it is. I don't want to speculate on any youngster like that. But as a youngster, especially when you've gotten fame at a very young age, he was part of the Indian team as well. Not the squad. He was part of the reserves. So I think that's where your work ethic should be good. So that's one complaint which we've been hearing around for Prithvi Shaw as well. So one thing,
Correct.
my personal thing is how these youngsters handle fame. It's not like we are old people. We are talking about youngsters. They're all of our age
So
as
I think
well,
we
right?
face these challenges ourselves, not to the extent they do, never to the extent
Yeah,
they
yeah.
do.
So you understand, right? Especially you
Yeah.
don't want these players to go out of the radar so fast, because this is the age and this is the
It's
time for
un-
them to make a mark.
yeah. And cricket is unforgivable. IPL especially, you look at how many players have come up and look at how many have still stayed, how many have gone ahead and had careers, because
Yeah,
IPL
yeah,
can be truly unforgiving
yeah.
in so many ways.
I mean, one story I'll just give before we end this live is Kamran Khan of Rajasthan Royals in 2008-9.
Yes.
How many of them remember him? Swapnil Asnotkar. What about these guys? They were
But
there and they
Swapnil
just went.
Asnotkar is still somewhere in domestic
I
cricket.
mean, do
Kamran
you
Khan, I
think
think, is a
Swapnil
farmer,
Asnotkar
if
reached
I'm
where he
not
could have
wrong now.
reached after that first season of IPL? He was this season's Ruturaj Gaikwad types. He was there and thereabouts when he came
exactly.
about.
I
Gave
think
that particular
now if
ball.
you look at Kamran Khan, right? He's a farmer,
He's
if
a
I'm not wrong.
farmer,
That's how
yeah.
yeah, that's how low he's gone down. You're right. Paul Galtati, for instance, if you guys remember him for
Yeah,
Punjab,
yeah.
where they went into that semis, if I'm not wrong. I don't exactly know.
No,
You
they did
you
not go
I think
anywhere. They did not go
I
anywhere.
think Rajasthan Royals
Oh, I know. It
has
was the same season where CSK destroyed their hopes. Oh, what a season that was.
It was not that season. It
It
was not. It was the next season. It was the
was
next
it
season.
was
2009-10.
It was 11. 11. It was 11.
2011. Paul Valthati, I think
I think
2011.
he
But
scored
I
100 against Chennai as well, right?
was
Ah,
it
I think he
Chennai?
did. I think he did.
He
Yeah,
did
I
against
think
Chennai also,
But
yeah.
I
honestly,
feel that Rajasthan Royals have had a lot of players. I think there was also a player called Siddharth Trivedi,
Oh
fast
no,
bowler
he
coming
got
in.
into action and match fixing and stuff. Let's not go there.
Uh, I mean, it's always happening with Rajasthan Royals. I mean, Ankit Chavan, and you always have players related to
Who was the
Rajasthan
other guy
Royals.
with Ankit Chavan? There were two guys. No, one left arm spinner was there, Ankit
Yeah,
Chavan.
yeah, it was
Srishant was
something
a
with
big name. But
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
think I think we're going a little out. I think this looks like a very chill stream now from where it started. We're
he was
talking about
Ajit Chandila.
Ajit
Ajit
Chandra,
Chandela, Ajit
exactly.
Chandela,
I
Ankit
remember
Chavan. Yeah.
Maxwell smoking him in the first over. Maxwell came as an opener for Mumbai.
That was the over, right? That was
That was the
question.
over, I think. Yeah, that was the over. Smoking him for like some 20 runs or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think talking about youngsters with fame, I think Prithvi Shaw has been in fame for the longest period of time. I think since he was
Correct.
13,
I think
14.
I
And
remember
I
when
think
I was, yeah, I mean, I
yeah,
suddenly remember when I was at 8, 9.
yeah, exactly. He
Eight,
was scoring
yeah,
runs for fun in the domestic league, and then
correct.
come the under 19 World Cup, everybody was going gaga about Prithvi Shaw, and in came Shubman Gill. In came Shubman Gill, took his test spot, took his ODI spot, and then I think soon has already taken the T20I spot from Prithvi Shaw as well. So I think work ethic goes a long way. How you look to improve goes a long way, and I think Shubman Gill was not a gifted cricketer, as gifted cricketer as a Prithvi Shaw was, but I think he has really worked on his game, and consistency is something that will get you to great
And I
heights.
mean, this is not to hate on anyone, but I genuinely think, and maybe people will disagree with me, but I genuinely think that a lot of players from Mumbai are given that early hype and praise right away.
It's a known
I
fact. I
believe,
mean, if you have the most
yeah,
popular clubs growing up, you are going to get that
yeah.
fame. It happened with Rohit
Mhm.
Sharma. Virat
Yeah.
Kohli did not. I heard that interview from Virat Kohli where he was like, I was not like nobody
Deficit
used to talk about Virat Kohli. Everybody was used to talk about
breakfast with
Rohit
I mean,
Sharma.
champions.
that's a case. That's a thing. That's a thing. I think
Yeah, yeah.
we'll also know more about how these youngsters come up as well in the coming years. Because now with IPL, it's much more easier to hype them up regardless of the state they are from. So that has
Yeah.
changed now a
Just
little bit.
so I'll just take this up question, this comment and quickly end the live. It says QDK
Yeah.
replacing Kyle Myers and LSG are done for the season. I agree with Teju. Absolutely, that's what I'm worried about because I genuinely and I also don't want Kyle Myers to bat lower down the order. I understand QDK is your player, he can do the job, but I really think Kyle Myers is needed. Either
Push
you open with Kyle
push
and
KL Rahul down
Quinton.
the order if needed because
Yeah,
he is the
either you
man
do that. I
out
think
of
that's the
form.
best way to do it. But KL Rahul will never leave the opening spot. He's got a death
I
grip
mean,
around him.
I am vouching for that. I If that happens, I'll be really really happy for KL Rahul. That'll be the
Correct.
biggest W he can get from my side in the recent past. I don't think that validation he requires in his life at all. But then I think that's going to really do his career a lot better as well. Because now he bats number 5 for Team India in one day cricket, and this is a one day World Cup year as well. I'd rather having him play in that role, and that benefits that Lucknow team a lot better as well. I know last year he had a 500 run season, but now if he wants to come back in the T20 team, he has to bat in middle of the order. I think the opening slot there is still a vacancy, but I don't think Ishan Kishan is coming back to Team India. I really don't want him to see the doors of Team India anytime soon. If KL wants to keep and bat at number 4 for Team India, I think that's going to do him a world of good. He scored 100 there batting in T20 cricket. He's done for RCB that. There he was really good. He bats at number 5 for Team India in one day cricket anyway. So I don't mind him doing that. Tomorrow, at least number 3. Number 3 is where he should be batting, ideally for
I
Lucknow.
think yeah, number three is where he should be batting because I believe. I mean, it won't be a bad idea to push Stoinis as well
Because he's
if you
got the
really.
game. Because it's not like he does not have the game. He's got the game to bat in middle of the order. It's not like I'm telling
Yeah,
someone like,
but
It's not
I
a
would
threat.
still
Correct.
have
I think
Deepak
it's
Huda
more of
at
a
3. I think I'll push
mental.
KL Rahul to number 4, and then Stoinis, Nicholas Puran can
number
follow at
four,
5, 6.
number four, number 3. That should be his
Yeah,
order. Nothing less than that. The
exactly.
best. That's going to be the best interest of all these players.
You
The
know what,
entire
guys?
Lucknow
I
team as
just
well.
take this up. I really have to take this up. KL Rahul at number 4, right? He's played 11 matches. He's got an average of 46.3. He's got a strike rate of 130.6. Now, which is not bad if you really look at it, because his best, he's performed the high, he's played the most at batting at number 1. He's got a strike rate of 138. And I believe that's not a huge deal because the KL Rahul that batted at number 4 is not the KL Rahul in terms of development that is playing today. So if a KL Rahul who's raw back then played 11 innings at number 4, struck at 130, and had an average of 46, I think he can do the job. He's got a better average than when he bats number 2. That's where he bats right now for LSG. So why not go ahead and put him in number 4? That's where I think it's a lot more mental.
Not number 4, maybe number 3 is good enough. I mean, number 3, if he doesn't want to go number 4, I don't think him as a
I mean,
captain and
his
the way he
record is
sees
not as
himself.
great. Number 3. That's the reason why I did
And
not.
I really want to see him keep as well. Nicholas Puran and him are like similar kind of keepers. It's not like Nicholas Puran is a great upgrade.
I think
Once
Quinton de Kock
QDK
is
comes, I'm pretty sure QDK keeps. So that's
yeah.
one thing for sure. Like QDK, of course, takes a glove. But he should have kept the first 2 matches. In the first 2 matches, at least he should have kept. That's one thing
That's why
which
I
really
don't
pisses me off.
understand the Sable. If Indian team is looking at him as a keeper, why isn't he keeping in the IPL? I mean,
That's
maybe it's
something which I,
sometimes.
because see, Jaren, one thing I've understood is that Indian teams, whatever Indian team is saying, IPL teams don't really care. Indian team would have told him
Yeah.
keep the IPL team. Gautam Gambhir was like,
You remember
"Are you
Rohit
playing for
Sharma came
India or
out
LSG
and
right now?"
said, Rohit
Gautam
Sharma
Gambhir,
came out
any
and
franchise for that matter would have said, "Are you playing for India or IPL right now? You're playing for IPL. Your stakes are even more than what you're going to play for Team India." I shouldn't be saying this, but that's a fact. He's earning what 17 crores, and that's more than the contract he gets with Team India. So that stake
but I
is a
think
lot more, right?
if you look
So
at right, you remember Rohit Sharma's press conference, right? Just before a few weeks before the IPL, when Jasprit Bumrah was still on and off. He went out to say that a lot of players are available for us. They have to manage their workload, but it depends on the franchise and the player. That's the key point
exactly,
for
and I
me.
don't blame that
Right?
because franchise are your sole owner. You have to be professional at the end of the day, and a national team duty matters. In football, it's a very similar thing. You can't tell. For example, Argentina can't tell PSG that don't play Messi because World Cup is in 1 month. They don't care. You're playing. You're a contracted player for this team. You are supposed to be a professional.
Hmm.
So that is what matters at the end of the day. National team duty comes secondary. I know a lot of old school people will disagree with me, but that is a fact. Once you're a professional in any club or any club setup, you have to focus on that club. I think that's a good way to end the live as well because IPL
Yeah.
is on par or maybe higher than international cricket at this point.
Yeah, I think international cricket is now. I'll be very honest, and I think many of the viewers will probably agree to my own detriment. Once this every year World Cup year ends, right, or major ICC tournament ends, people will not really look at bilateral series anymore. The reason why India Australia series really mattered is because it's India and Australia playing. England Australia also will matter. Probably India Pakistan doesn't happen anymore, and that just leaves us with a lot of innings, I mean, a lot of matches where South Africa, for example, when they come to India, might matter slightly. New Zealand might matter slightly, but other than that, it really doesn't seem like it. Unless India, Australia, or England are playing, people are not going to be watching bilateral. And the only reason people are watching now is because they want to know what's going to happen in the World Cup. Once the Champions Trophy is out of the way, people are really going to take a back
Yeah,
step and
yeah,
look at leagues. Even now, for instance, with IPL going on, there's something called Fair Play T20 that's happening with relation to women's T20. Very interesting tournament. Check it out. A lot of talents are playing from. It's not even like how IPL is, right? It's a tournament where you can be from any nationality and the team can have 11 players from 11 nationalities. There's no combination as such. So those are things which are really interesting. And I think this is where cricket is generally going. And boards have really failed to take advantage of it, and now it's going against them. That's a discussion for a whole another day, but that's a very good way to end the live. I think that's pretty much it. We've covered 77 minutes of one match, but it was bound to be. It was the El Clasico of Boom 11 IPL coverage. But having said that, thank you guys for joining us, and make sure you download and play Boom 11 app on Apple App Store and Google Play Store because, hey, as I said yesterday, regardless of Sandivani or Abel winning today, you would have gone ahead and won something for sure.
And
bye
Sandeep
bye.
did go on to win.